Hello, everyone. We're doing a bit of a weird video. Mostly because I'm a little lazy. I'm making two videos that are kind of related to each other. They probably won't take much longer. It's going to be a lot more broad, those videos, but today's episode of me yapping, we are going to be talking about China, I guess. Gacha China, to be specific. If I'm missing a China here, there's probably like a China I'm missing here. You can look at the tabs, we have a couple of them listed there. I'm not sure if we're missing anything. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, maybe there was one more that I'm. Oh wait, there is one more I'm missing, isn't it? It's that's not how you spell Enfield. What is the region even called? Uh, Wuling, there you go. Oh my god, I don't know why I didn't remember that. Wuling, this is also included. I kind of forgot about it, I won't even lie to you. But yeah, we have a variety of, of Gacha Chinas that we're talking about today. And I want to. We're gonna employ the method here. We are going to. I don't want to say systematically. That isn't really accurate. We're gonna be going through it though. Each of these Chinas to try to figure out why does Gacha China suck so badly. And it's especially confusing because all these games are Chinese. Why does why do the Chinese gacha games have such a bad time making gacha China? So we're gonna be using Notepad. We're gonna be going through these wiki tabs and trying to deduce some reasoning here. I think the first thing I want to do is let's just have the reason why. Why does gacha China suck? And I think the first thing that we need to immediately look at before even saying anything about specifics is, at least for, I should probably divide this into all. The first point for all of them is that maybe a Gacha China is supposed to appeal to the Chinese audience more specifically. And as a result, the Western audience just does not vibe with it. Because there are certain things, like certain story beats, that an audience might not really vibe with nearly as much. I don't, like, how do I phrase this? The reason, like, you have those like tropes that appear more particularly in certain countries' media versus others. In the same way that happens, maybe there's like certain like story beats, again, certain tropes or certain story beats that are just more appealing to the Chinese audience, that when they're done for a Western audience, it just doesn't catch on as well. Like, for example, I imagine that there's a lot of Chinese stories that are pretty referential of something like Journey to the West or Investiture of the Gods, but a Western audience isn't going to really be totally like vibing with that because most Westerners haven't read either of those stories or have really any experience with those stories. So, or even like is it Five Kingdoms? The, you know, like the or is it Three Kingdoms? You know what I'm talking about? The kingdoms, the War of the Kingdoms. That's not the title it is either. I'm sorry for being a little stupid, but the just like how there's like certain events that are more popular to reference within Western media, there's going to be the same case uh, for Chinese media, and even Japanese media. It's a case for everything. You have there's going to be stuff that in Japan, like they reference, for example, stuff relating to Oda Nobunaga a lot, and stuff relating to not imperial Japan. That's not true at all. It's more relating to what is the term for it? The wow, I can't believe this is escaping my mind. You know, like the time period when the shogunate started, the Tokugawa shogunate, like that time period. I don't know why I'm not remembering the name for it. Or for example, them referencing a lot of during the Meiji Restoration or prior to the Meiji Restoration with the Shinsengumi. A lot of that is referenced a lot of Japanese media. So my point of bringing all those up is that maybe it isn't entirely like, I don't want to say it's not fair, but I guess it's kind of unfair for us to be super judgmental regarding regarding like Gacha China, because maybe they're following story beats that specifically a Chinese audience really likes. You know, like there's a lot of those manhwas that are about like cultivation, like your immortal cultivation brought you to the new realm, and you're going to destroy the heavenly sect because now you're working with the demon sect. Like that temperature was really popular in like Chinese like media, so maybe that, like, again, story beats are just different amongst countries. That's my point with this one. I don't know why I'm dragging this on. That's the point that I'm trying to make. I'll leave that blank, and let's go through these left to right. Or maybe we should start with Wuling, actually, because Wuling I have the least to say, since I'm not like the most knowledgeable end fielder. So I think one thing I want to bring up about Wuling specifically, I haven't gone through the full arc. And while it is clear when a character is Chinese, like obvious to like things like Tong Tong and Mifu and there you go, Feng when you have characters like that, yeah, it's easy to tell they're Chinese. And the thing is, this area, I think its bigger demerit is just different resource from literally everything else. That is the actual major demerit I could even know for it, but otherwise largely feels not that different, because I mean most of the exploration of the game kind of doesn't really feel like it's changed. I don't know how to phrase it. Like the actual exploration does not feel all that different. The environment as a whole changes, but like I don't know if it's not like the vibe changes that much. The story is more or less the same. Or I don't know if it's the same, but like the exploration doesn't differ that much. Just put that. But yeah, given that, Wuling isn't have that much bad with it. Maybe you guys will have more complaints about Wuling, so like end fielders tell me maybe Wuling actually sucks terribly. And let's just go from left to right then, or right to left, I mean. We'll do Huanglong next, which I don't know why I'm typing in the name of that. If I was going with that, let's just type in the name of the games, Wuthering Waves. I think... Actually, I should probably say this in the all category. All these regions typically look pretty. It's just the story is usually the issue. And I'll actually give it Enfield this much. Story is fairly competent here. We could probably do like technically a regular Arknights, but the problem is Arknights China was like the first area, wasn't it, with Shen and like and Hoshiguma and like is her name Misha, the one who died? I kind of forgot. But the problem is, would you really consider that an exploration of Gacha China? I don't think so. That's like an exploration more of what's the organization? Reunion? That's like a reunion chapter more than anything else. It's also setting up the entire game is the other problem. But yeah, I want to put Arknights, regular Arknights on this list. For Wuthering Waves, for Huanglong, again, I wanted to make note why that's pretty, just because it's pretty, guys. Wuthering Waves is a pretty game. So I think that I want to immediately point out one thing. And I think this is probably the case for Wuling too, but I'm not going to comment too much about it. Huanglong is long. but like unironically, it is like actually just a fairly long region. Like it's one of the problems is another game on here who I think is like 15 times worse than Wuthering Waves, but Huanglong is still long. As it stands, this region, it's not terrible, but as the first area, it kind of sucks, because some of the story has to be dedicated to setting up future chapters, which every chapter has to do, but like the onus on the first chapter is kind of more extreme. And I want to also bring up one thing. Huanglong directly after that, we got the Black Shores chapter. Black Shores was the next chapter, and it kind of hard got to Huanglong, like really bad. Is there anything else that's bad about Huanglong? I mean, like, arguably, I don't know. I don't have too much to say about it besides that. I think visually some of the areas are actually just not that interesting comparatively. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe I'm being a little spoiled by La Haroi, but like La Haroi is like a lot like more diverse. Everything kind of feels like either like you can notice there's 3 different areas. Dim Forest is cool. Grassland Mountain is like most of this, and the only area that's actually different for the most part that feels different is Mount Firmament, which was the area that was released afterwards for Jinshi's part of the story. And maybe that's a part of this thing. Exploration is unfortunately kind of forgettable, especially after you get to other regions. This is quite loud. That's better. So, is there any other notes I should make about Huanglong? That's the question here. We're dissecting why this region sucks. I mean, the characters are quality, for the most part. I don't remember anything about Yanro, though. I like Gigi, and I like Yohu, and I like Sanwa, and I like Choyam, and Shangli. I really like Buling. I like her a lot, but we're not talking about the characters who come out of the region. Why did it do? You know what? Here, you're gonna have to look at this really weird blown up image of her. Look at her. This is adorable. Yeah. Not a lot to say. Stories. I should probably talk more about the story, shouldn't I? But yeah, I don't know. The story. You know, it's actually story isn't terrible. Arguably worse because it's forgettable. I don't know how to phrase this, but like sometimes I feel like a worse fate for a story is for it to be completely forgotten over being bad, but I don't know if that's entirely fair. Because if the story is bad enough, it's terrible. But is it worse in this situation? I don't personally, I don't think so. But as a whole, yeah, it's not a terrible story. It's just kind of forgettable. I think there's a couple of like characters that are pretty neat. I think like Yang, for example, is a character that I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't really fully understand why people really like her that much, and the story didn't really help her much besides her just being there constantly helping you. That was really like it. I don't know how to describe it. Like it's like I understand why people will like every character in La Roy a lot because it's like Amith is cool, Luke is cool. I like all these characters in there. Even like Sigurka. People will dog on Sigurka a lot. I like Sigurka a lot. Everything in the region has so far been fairly compelling in that area, but the Huanglong just doesn't. It's forgettable. Everything about it is forgettable. The only thing that's memorable about it is I forgot his name too. Wow, Jue, the the dragon. So yeah, not a lot to talk about Wuthering Waves, and I'm realizing that one of the things in the all I'm gonna have to make an addendum for is most are kind of forgettable. because I think that the next one is another example. Genshin Impact. Holy, wow. I can't remember anything. But what I do remember. Actually, do I even remember anything? I think like literally the only thing I only remember, and the chasm isn't even really Liyue specific, but I only remember the chasm with the Yelan Shao quest and the festival thingy, Lantern Rite. That's it. I don't remember really anything else. Again, the region is fairly pretty, but exploration. It's not even exploration. Its future regions are prettier. Except for Noctri. But that kind of is intentional, isn't it? Like, Noctri looks kind of ugly and mechanical, but like I think that's kind of the point. Liyue is supposed to be pretty, and I think that most of the other regions gap it aside from like Mondstadt, which is like just literally green plains for the entire region. But yeah, not a lot to say here. The city itself is pretty. I like that, but again, it's otherwise kind of whatever. Also, the water oceanid boss that you battle for you know, for like the ascension materials. Yeah, it's probably one of the worst bosses. There you go. You gotta wait in here. Yeah, I just want to type that out. Yeah, she sucks. I don't want to say about that. Yeah, she just kind of sucks. And this is an issue I think that at least HSR also is going to deal with this when we get to HSR, but I don't like returning here so goddamn frequently. It's not as bad as HSR. I understand that, but the fact that we come back to this region so frequently is kind of annoying. And I know I'm probably gonna get a little bit of heat for that because I think a lot of people actually really like Liyue because they like their Shanyuns, their Jibas, there's like they like their Ganyus, their Hu Taos. I like Ganyu. I like Hu Tao. I like Shanyun too. I don't feel strongly about Zibai, but like, you know, I feel like people like these characters, but as a whole, we return there's so much. And I know like some people will say that's a good thing, but like split it up more, man. Go to other regions more frequently. We don't need to like goddamn rotate around. We're not a Liyue centric, man. We don't rotate around it. Come on. Okay, we just had like sure. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about Genshin besides that. Let's talk about ZZZ. Wow, I mean, this isn't even really a judgment for me. Wow, people hate the... Is it 2.0? Is it 2.0 patch cycles? Because I've seen nothing but people have distaste for the entirety of 2.0 to the newest version. People hated Failure Lights, didn't they? And one thing I'll give is I do think that, again, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to like make how do I phrase this? I'm not trying to judge based off characters that are released because each of these regions has characters that are really good, and that isn't really fair to judge the region based off of the characters that come from there. Wuthering Waves has like a gigantic batch of characters who I really like a lot of them, and Wuling has Tong Tong, who is my favorite character probably in the game besides like Rossi, and for Liyue has a lot of characters that people really like too. I like Hu Tao a lot, and she's from Liyue, so you know. And Phalium Heights, again, there's a lot of characters that I really like here. I like Yuzuha a lot, and I really like Alice. I like everyone from Spook Shack, frankly. So, all are considered Phalium Heights residents, I'm pretty sure. So, I wonder if it says anywhere. Nope. Whatever. Yeah, I just want to bring it up. A lot of these regions actually have like really cool characters who come from them for the most part. So it's a bit of a shame. I can't judge too much about it, but I wanted to bring it up again. What else is that? Yeah, Philly Mites. Story. I think the story did drag here. Story dragged a little bit. So, if I was like going through these, I'd probably say like Arcanus is the one that I can't comment on. Genshin and Wuthering Waves. Genshin drags less, I think, than Wuthering Waves. Huanglong, maybe they drag about the same because you don't really ever go back to Huanglong all that much. Like you'll see characters from Huanglong, but like that doesn't really. I don't know. It's not exactly like the region that you think about all that much in the back of your head. I feel like more people remember stuff from Rinascita than Huanglong. And Black Shores is like the de facto we will probably return here pretty frequently type of area. But yeah, I'd probably say that they're about equal in terms of how long they drag, because Genshin you revisit Liyue a lot, so it drags on through that way, whereas Wuthering Waves you don't really revisit all that much, but it's a little longer when you get through the base playthrough of it. For ZZZ, it drags longer than both of those. Story drags quite a bit. And arguably I think it's because of lack of focus. We have some of the story dedicated to Yuzuha and the rest of Spook Shack, and that's fine and all because we're getting to know like what's the group? Oh, it's Krampus. We get to know more about Krampus and like and these like other like factions that are within like Phaliumites that are like fighting for power, or I guess I get that. And then we have like other things like Lucia, and I think Lucia's story is individually pretty good. I really liked it. But at the same time, we also like started the story talking about like Yishan and like Suban Temple, and then like at the end of it all, we kind of don't really revisit until like the end, and then that's when we get most of the stuff like information relating to it. It just kind of sucks a little bit that the way that the story was paced, poor pacing. I'll put that also. And before anyone says, I do actually like quite a bit of the characters, again, from this region, and that actually includes Shundong. I know a lot of people don't like her. Shrungus, whatever, what is the nickname that people give her? Shungus? I do like her, unlike a lot of people online I know who seem to despise her. I don't like her, like, she's not my favorite, but, like, I like her. But, yeah, the pacing was kind of all over the place for this. I also need to acknowledge there was a major, like, a gameplay overhaul here. Yeah, there's some major gameplay overhaul. Some people complain about no TV mode, they think they're a little crazy, but I can't ignore it. There's some people who, like, really, really disliked it. Is this... Man. It... You're driving me crazy. Okay, whatever. It's finally working. Okay, I cut it a little bit there. Video. Music started spazzing out and randomly stopped playing. I think it's working now. But yeah, I think they're crazy if they just like if they're like trying to gas up TV mode. It took too long. I'll put it that way. I think that adding roguelike elements is fine for the game, but I don't think that I don't know how to phrase it. It's ZZ's identity has always been kind of a little bit lost, even with the TV mode. I don't think it was that interesting. So yeah, let's yeah. Is there anything else I need to say about ZZZ? I don't even know. I guess loss of aesthetic is maybe something. Because I know some people really wanted like an urban setting. And while Fillion Heights kind of preserves it, like it's like kind of like it's China urban. Like I don't know how else to phrase it. Yeah. Some people don't want Chinese urban. I think it looks kind of cool, and I do think it dragged though for too long because I think that the base city is probably what I was looking for more. At the same time, I think ZZ setting is kind of not that interesting either, frankly. So you know, take that as you will. We're gonna revisit each of these and talk a little bit about the story, but I just want to get down some general points. HSR is the last one we're gonna look at. It's specifically looking at the Exalting Sanctum, but it's the Lawfu. And I want to say this now. This one drags by far the most, and we revisit it. So don't worry, you will suffer. There's also something I want to. There was actually something I want to comment about the story. The story, at least from what we started with, the story kind of is restricted to a couple characters. Not all of whom are like all that interesting, frankly speaking. Like Yanqing is cool. Yunli's fine. The pros of the most interesting characters are like Danhong, Jingyuan, and Blade. Blade barely really gets anything besides knowing who he was beforehand. And Danhong's thing is fine. Jingyuan's thing is fine. Jingliu's thing is fine. And is it Baihong or is it Baifeng? Bailu. Her thing is fine. The peaks of this story are literally they're just okay. They're not like amazing, which is a bit of an issue because it dragged so long that if the peak is just okay, that is not good. And this is also a proximity issue. Most probably think that Bellabog and Penacony are more cohesive, which I think is a bit of an issue again, because if you're sandwiched in between regions that people think are better than you, yeah, it's gonna kind of suck. Like, Liyue doesn't really get that complaint, because Liyue, like, what comes after Liyue is Inazuma, and most people think Inazuma kind of sucked, so it gets away with it. Wuthering Waves was able to get away with it a little bit because it's the first region, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, it can only get better, and it did get better. For HSR, it's not the first region. It's technically the third if you count Herta Space Station, and the second if you combine Herta Space Station and Bellabog, but it's not the first. And we revisit it pretty frequently, and I'm going to be completely 100% with you. The only notable thing in my head that comes to mind is pretty much just Yanqing powering up and getting his aura moment. I I don't care that much about Jing Liu. I don't care that much. I like Blade, but like Blade is more interesting when he's interacting with people instead of like just being there and like getting his pass. I'm gonna be honest. I don't care that much about Blade's pass. It's fine that they do it. I don't dislike what they did, but it's kind of boring when most of the stuff is just like kind of bringing back things to like the high cloud quintet. I don't care that much about any of them in particular, and the story didn't give me much of a reason to either. The only character that I felt like I had a vested interest in it was Danong because he's a part of the crew, and I like Danong, but it's it's just unfortunate. Like for example, like Blade becomes more interesting when you unironically, I think he becomes more interesting when you get to other regions and other interactions that Blade has. Like when Blade is interacting with Silverwolf and Planet Arcadia, from what I've seen, it seems more interesting in that than it does with what we have in that. He's better as a character that's interacting with people because he kind of comes off as cold. So when he interacts with people, it's I don't know, it is better. Instead, we have the story that's like kind of whatever. The only actual notable things that happen in the story is what does anything even notable happen in the story? Fantelia being like a Lord Ravager and trying to destroy the Mafu. Cool, I guess. Hule released. We got like Hule for like repeating over and over again. He appeared in like 4 quadrillion different MOCs and APOCs. That's I guess okay. I don't know. There's very little good I have to say about this region, and we are under threat by Hoyo. They will bring us back here. And I know that this again. I know people are gonna give me heat for this one too because there's people who are like, "I want Marshall Hua so badly. Where's Marshall Hua?" And I'm like, dude, it's fine. I understand why because the character's probably gonna be an XP of like of Fu Hua from Impact Third, but like I don't know, man. The dread that this region brings, it's long, it's tedious. They retcon a part of the story, or not retcon, but they made one of the story things like optional. So I guess I don't know, whatever. There's so much about this chapter that's mind-boggling. It just sucks so much. There's not a lot of good to say about the region, and the problem is that if we're looking visually speaking, the only region I think it's better looking than is like the only reason I like it more visually than is Bellabog. I prefer. I don't even like how Planet Arcadia looks that much, and I still prefer it over the Lawfu. I definitely prefer Penacony and Amphorius to Lawfu. And again, yeah, we're gonna be back here. Unfortunately, we don't have a choice. So you know this is literally literally the worst of both worlds. Long and we will be back. But yeah, unfortunately, looking at it, like for this, I think ZZZ is just a pacing issue. For Genshin, it's a forgettable issue, and for Wuthering Waves, it's kind of the same thing. It's like two forgettable issues, and then for HSR, it is like an actual like it's like a biohazard where it's like the story's actively boring. And one thing I'm also realizing, the stakes are fairly low in all of these regions. ZZC is the only one that I think the stakes aren't low. Because the creator, like the whole deal with Sarah trying to bring back the creator or whatever the hell it was. Most of them don't have a high stakes. And I know people are going to bring up Age to start with the Lord Ravager, but the problem is they did not give a good enough like depiction of if that was actually high stakes because Jingwon popping up and being like, haha, I'll help you beat her, and then you beating her makes it feel like it kind of really wasn't all that high stakes. You know what did feel high stakes is like the next two regions where Sunday almost became an Eon and Acheron was a walking nuke, and then you had Amphorius with the you know Phynon becoming a Emanator tier, and you have like Nanook getting ready to crown Iron Tomb as his like new Lord Ravager, and if that happened, then the erudition would have died. You know, there's like a really high stakes in the other chapters, but the problem is, just Fantalia existing and being like, haha, I'm evil does not feel like high stakes. So as a result, the others felt like it was high stake. This doesn't feel that high stake. So, forgettable, boring, or badly paced. Pick your poison. That's not how you spell poison. There you go. You know, as we look at it, I click shuffle my place again. There technically is another China region. Blue Archive has China and Shanghai Jing. And I could quickly add it. It isn't Chinese like the rest of his games. But I feel like we haven't been here too much. So the one time we are there to like help Kisaki against what's her name? Kai. Their name is Kai, I think. The black and white haired prisoner who loves drugs. It felt meaningful. Also, there's a literal coup that occurs in the chapter. Or not, it isn't that, but in the story. You know, for all that I say about China sucking, I mean, the Blue Archive one actually did kind of do well. I think Red Winter's the only one I actually genuinely really don't like visiting, because Red Winter just feels like a gag region. Blue Archive, I feel like Shanhaijing is kind of a gag region, but like for the most part, like when they do the story, they take it seriously enough that it feels compelling. So yeah, yeah, the characters do a good job here. And I think that's actually a note I have to make. Prisoners... The prisoners can definitely help deadlift horror regions. Like, how do I explain this? You know, like the prisoners in the game, because there's like 7 of them, I believe. If there's ever a time where they really needed to like actually like do something, I feel like just putting the prisoner in any of these areas, it will at least make the story a little more interesting. At the bare minimum, we were able to they haven't done that really all that often. I think Kai's like the only one where it ended up actually being like relevant, because like Wakamo's kind of just crazy. She kind of just likes blowing things up. She doesn't really do that though, because you know, like we're like, hey, don't do that, and she's like, oh my god, please don't be mean to me. I love you. I don't want you to hate me, so I won't blow this thing up unless I really feel it. So like, you know, like Wakamo has that going on, but that's not really ever a threat to Hyakuyaku, because they already have a villain built up there, so it's fine. And then like Akira, she's been a villain in like a Millennium event, as well as her actual like a home like school being Wild Hunt. She didn't really feel like a villain in Wild Hunt though, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you. She barely feels like a villain at all to begin with. She kind of is just like a weird eccentric artist. Which is reasonable. Art school makes sense. Yeah, sure. You know, I'll give it this much. Wow. That means China doesn't always suck in a gacha game. But yeah, generally speaking, I think we've realized the conclusion here, guys. We've have our conclusion. Why does Gacha China suck? Our answers. Maybe Gacha China is supposed to appeal to a Chinese audience more specifically, and as a result, the Western audience just does not vibe with it. All these regions, like, they look pretty. It's usually just a story that's an issue, so people might have an issue because they like the stories in Gacha games. And then we have, you know, I probably can't remember this because it's a bit moot. It's repeating. Most of them don't have high stakes, or at least they don't feel like it comparatively. I should probably add the comparatively because that kind of matters. And then we have the last one: forgettable, boring, or badly paced. Pick your poison. Each of these has like a different reason for why it sucks. Uh, and I think that one note to make is that all of them, to some degree, feel kind of long. So there you go. That's why Gacha sucks. Those reasons. Maybe there's another reason. Uh, maybe I don't know. I don't really have too much to say besides that. I feel like the main thing is just that usually they're really long and they're kind of boring, which is like the deadliest combination of things to give. Having something boring and long is like a really bad. Like look at M4s and HSR. People complained about how long that was, and complained that it was boring in some parts, but like it was pretty like heavy like in terms of like what was happening, or not heavy. How do I describe it? There's a lot happening at certain parts of the story, and people still consider it boring and long at points. uh the lawful has like nothing happening for like almost the entire length of the quest. So yeah, uh conclusion: Gacha China does indeed suck. QD. Thank you guys for watching. I hope I'll see you guys in the next one. And but this isn't even from the chat. This is from Red Wind. Okay, you know what? Whatever, man. This playlist sucks. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.